Hi, today we are going to channel on shielding and protecting, and Heather has chosen to channel Archangel Michael because he is the one that is for protection. And so we basically just have questions about how we can shield better, and how to transmute specific energies.
All right. So let's get started. So I will bring in Archangel Michael and we will ask him some questions about how you can maintain some boundaries and maintain a clear vessel. Okay. So I'm getting that Metatron is there as well. Yes, you may ask your questions.
Okay, now we have the questions on the shielding, but when you were coming in, I saw some like sparkly stuff. Can you tell me what that was about?
We are pleased. You have tapped into your own aura. How did you see it?
It almost looked like the light that you would see coming off of like a diamond.
Yes, very good. We are happy. That is your own aura. And as you tap into your own aura, you can see the light and you can maintain the light. For when you understand what it looks like, you can understand what it looks like when it's not protected. You can see the unshininess, if you would, as you feel into it, sense it, and know it, you can see where it needs some work. How could you maintain this shininess? They're asking you. Does this make sense? How could you maintain the aura that you have seen?
With intention?
Yes, very good. The intention is very clear. And if you have a very clear intention and are very strong about it, you would feel it, know it, and stick with it. So do not keep so much boundaries and limitations so much as very, very clear intention, for that would serve you the best. I am me. I am clear and I am shiny. So if people are wondering why they have been infringed upon, it is not because they do not have a clear intention per se, but it's just that their intention falters. Their intention gets skewed in that they wonder if they've been compromised. And so if you think that you've been compromised, the best thing to do is to actually maintain that intention. No, I am clear. I am clear. I am clear. And that is how you would maintain your energy. You would transmute it if you were to not resist the fact that you may have been compromised, but to then get back to the state of well-being in which I am one with myself and I know that I am a clear being. And if I am a clear being, I can get back to the clear being, because I cannot be not a clear being per se. I can only have the experience of not being a clear being, if that makes sense. For it is really an illusion if you have been compromised, because we cannot ultimately be compromised. So to resist the fact that you've been compromised is in itself an illusion. You can never actually be compromised. So To understand this, you must understand that all you need to do is then understand yourself. That is the safety net that we have placed upon you, and that anything that is not of the light can be transmuted by just understanding yourself. How much of that made sense?
So all you have to do is come back to the knowing that you are yourself and whole and complete, and so you can be clear. And it's just through that clear intention that you recognize the truth through the illusion of the infringement.
Yes. Do not falter in the sense of knowing that you are who you are, and that can never hurt you. You can never be harmed when you understand the truth of your well-being, the truth of your godliness, for all is you. And if you understand the fact that any infringement is in a way telling you what you are not, you then need to just understand who you are. And then the lesson is learned, and you can then maintain your own boundaries. That is the simple answer. But let's get into the questions.
Okay. Well, one of the questions is, what is the best method to shield? And it sounds like that is the simplest way, but is there a best way?
There is no best way. It is all about who and what you are. If you understand yourself, you can never, ever be compromised. You can never, ever be infringed upon, for you are who you are, and no one can tell you otherwise. But the problem is that people understand a certain state of being that is in resistance to the light that they actually are. So they are taken over, and they align and attach with that identity of the self that is not in their entirety of themselves. They feel like they've been taken over. They believe that they've been taken over, not necessarily consciously, but they feel like something is off. They feel like something is wrong. But then they maintain that and say, what is wrong with me? How can I be better? What do I need to do? They feel like they are sick in a way and identify with the sickness as themselves. When you understand this, you identify with that which you feel. And so when you identify with that, you then become it. It's as if you absorb it into your own energy. And that is when people get taken over, is because they align with that and say, that is who I am, when it has not been the government before. So in a sense, you were whole and then became taken over so that you are less of who you are. So it's like you have a pie, and then someone takes the piece of the pie out and then says, this is who you are. And then you believe it. But if you were to maintain yourself as the pie and say, whoa, something's happening here, I feel like something has been taken, then you can fill it back up. And it's as simple as understanding what has been taken out. You can then just replace it by understanding the self, sensing the energy that was taken, and then it replaces it. You can ask for assistance with this as well. Please fill me with the love light that I was. So it is, in a sense, what we need to do is more of understanding ourselves and sensing ourselves on a regular basis. So that way we know when we are out of balance. This also works even when we are not infringed upon, but we just have a block or an imbalance or a hole in the aura or something of that nature. Cords even. If we understand ourselves on a regular basis, we can then change the fact that we have been infringed upon. We can take ourselves back over. We can take that sovereignty and heal ourselves. There are other ways to do it, but I would say most of the time, the best way is to just state this. I am me, basically. So to say, I am me and I am governing myself. I am healed. I am of the light. So one way to do this would be in the morning to just take on your energy, to even ask for love light to come in, for your higher self to come in and to state who you are. And then when you feel that energy, when you feel that love light, you say, this is me. And I am. And state the fact that you are a sovereign being. I am sovereign and I maintain this love light energy throughout my day. I am maintaining this and nothing can compromise me. Nothing can come in. You can visualize this. You can feel the energy, sense the energy, and you can visualize the golden or light rays. You can use color. You can use an egg shape. We are wondering about the pyramid, as Heather has used a pyramid shape. This would be fine. Pyramids are good. A cube is also good for maintaining boundaries. But we do want the energy to flow. And so the egg shape would be the best. And to have it come down through the crown and then around you. And also through the heart. So from the crown down into the heart and then around. The Merkaba is also a good boundary system. So you can visualize the Merkaba going around. But the toroidal sphere would be ideal. So start with the toroidal coming down through the crown into the heart and then around from higher source consciousness. And this would also clear your aura. Do this on a regular basis. That would be our answer.
Is once in the morning.
Once in the morning. Do it throughout the day, I think would be good. Several times. Maybe once in the morning, in the middle, and once at night.
Okay, so a question that I had, I was not actually on here, is that you're talking about how to get past the infringes, it has to do with knowing who we are. And if we are a light worker, we know and understand more of who we are. So why is it that we often hear that light workers are more attacked? Is it just that it's more apparent when they are getting infringed upon than others?
That's a good question. There are multiple answers to this question. The first is, who gets compromised? The majority of the population is compromised. The majority of the world is infringed upon on some level. Now, energetically, that means that the majority of the population has entities within them. The removal has been better. We do see that the population is growing in their love light and are understanding themselves in a new way. And so the majority of the population has removed some of these entities and through techniques, and also just through their ability to remove it themselves, to how there is questioning if it does just get lifted once people learn their lessons. Yes. Sometimes it is a matter of a contract. However, sometimes it is not. So this depends. But many people are removing these. Many light workers are removing these, even to those who are not asking for it because they did not ask for it in the beginning. So it isn't necessarily something that needs to be asked upon to be removed if they did not ask for it to come in, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So then they do not need to have you do not have to have permission to remove an entity that attached without that person's permission. Does that make sense?
So be where it would be the best intention to say, I'm here to remove anything that is in their best interest to be removed at this time.
Yes, their highest good.
Of course.
So many light workers are shielding themselves. And so this is protecting themselves, and then they are removing it from the collective. So, but to answer this question, many people are taken over, many people, but the light workers are targeted, yes, but they actually have fewer than the population as a whole because they are removing it. They are removing it. So once they have a light, they can understand themselves more, to understand when they are shielded and when they are not, and also when they feel imbalanced, when they have been taken over. So we answer this in that actually the love light comes in more to the light workers. So they actually have fewer. We do see this. So the light workers are actually in a state of well-being more so than the general population. We see that as our answer.
Okay. Is there anything different that like light workers should know versus other people about shielding? And
if you are watching this, you are a light worker. You have consciousness, you have awareness. The general population would not even be aware of this. That is the problem. They do not understand even that they are compromised. If you are aware, then you can remove it. You can maintain your boundaries. You can maintain the love light. You know that there is love light. That's the answer.
So it sounds like the more that we know ourselves and progress ourselves, the more protected we will be. But
yes, but it can also lead to compromisation as well. because the more that you understand yourself, the more that you are targeted. So it is very, very important to maintain your boundaries. But if you understand who and what you are and that you need to maintain your boundaries, then you will maintain your boundaries. And that is why you are less compromised. Maintain your shields. And it's as simple as just understanding the love light and saying, that is who I am. Going within your heart and sensing and knowing the real state of your well-being. There's nothing that can harm you, and you need to understand that nothing can really harm you. So when you see the harm, it is an illusion, and understand it as an illusion. And if you understand it as an illusion, you can get back to the reality of your wholeness and well-being, if that makes sense. Do not be afraid. That is why people fall into the doubt. They are afraid. And when they are afraid and they doubt and they worry and they get depressed, that is when they are infringed upon and the attachment is very deep. That's why they need healers to remove it for them. But it can always be done on a regular basis through your own energy, and as well as your higher self, the angels, and your guides. But you need to ask for assistance. Sometimes these are deeper and they do need more love light than you can bring in yourself.
Besides you, who else is beneficial to call in when asking for help?
Yes. I do see Raphael as another good one. He would be good to call in. I am very good. So is Metatron. Your higher self is always there for assistance. Any being that you see as somebody who has high authority, who has assisted others. Some would call on Jesus, Yeshua. Some could call on other beings such as Kali Amal. Even Isis might be a good one. Calling on the wind to bring in dragons with fire, phoenix, fire, calling in colors, shapes. The violet flame is very effective. Yes, elements. Water is good as well. Taking a bath is very good. It's very cleansing for your aura. That is all for that.
So what I was going to ask before that is that Heather worded this question so that it says, are we evolving into a being that does not need a shield? And it sounds like through our own progression, we are evolving in that way. But are we as a whole evolving towards the point where we may no longer have to shield?
Yes. It's an interesting question. She worded it in that way through her higher self, who actually brought in that question. We would like to say that as a whole, this is a very complicated. First off, let me explain that not all of you will actually leave this planet. in the next few years or months. We're not really sure. But we will say, we are seeing that the majority of the population has been compromised and may not return. Okay. Okay. So the majority of the population are going to be held back. So they're not going to be brought into the next level, the next stage. So they are not evolving, if you will, into the level that we are referring to. So those that are, so the majority are not, they're going to come back for another cycle. But those that are up leveling will be evolving. And those are what we are referring to. So yes, you are evolving into that state of well-being where you do not need to shield because you are maintaining the vibration necessary for self-development, in which you do not need to shield because it is so high that nothing can infringe upon you. That is my answer. It is important to shield at this point. But once the energies are so high, you will not even be touched by those that can infringe upon you. There will be other negative forms, if you will, of the service to self origin. However, they cannot infringe upon your energy in the way that these beings have.
How are we able to detect if we are infringed upon?
Go within and look for energies, look for misalignments. You can usually sense and feel it within the body itself. If there is a certain discomfort there or you will feel unpleasant. So scanning the body and looking for certain sensing of some sort of energy that doesn't flow or feels off, pain sometimes. It can be a physical manifestation. So you can feel it physically at times. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've been taken over if you have an illness or a pain, but it usually does. And so one way to do this is actually to ask for assistance. I can do this. So can Raphael. And we can shield you while you do this, because it's very important to actually shield when you are scanning your body or doing any type of energy work. So to look around in the body and also around the body in your aura. For instance, Heather will share that as she does scan her body, there is a certain thing that she is feeling here in her shoulder. Earlier, she did feel something in the back of her head. She did heal that. There is just something about doing this on a regular basis, a daily basis, to maintain the flow. This does not mean necessarily that you have attachments or entities, but it does mean that there is light that isn't coming in like it should. So asking us for assistance in what it is, labeling it as either an implant, an entity, a block. There can be portals. Not usually cords. Cords would be scanned differently. There can be tears. Energies can come into, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an entity with a consciousness. And of course, keeping your chakras balanced and cleansed. So, did I answer this question?
Should have forgot which question I asked. Just how do we know if we are infringed upon?
You can ask, we will tell you as well.
So you said to call upon you for help and to label them. How does labeling them help? Because do we have to do different things in order to transmute that energy? But if we call upon you for assistance,
it is possible to remove or heal this regardless of what it is. So if you're not sure, just ask for the healing. Doesn't need to be labeled. Labels can be helpful only because it shows whether you can do it yourself or if you need assistance. When in doubt, always ask for assistance. If it is something that you can do yourself, such as just an energetic tear, you can just repair that yourself with Reiki energy, calling in the higher self, always calling your higher self. But the angels may need to be brought in, or several members of your spiritual team can be brought in for assistance. Always ask.
oh, it's different. Okay, yes. So
I would like to say, I just
okay.
want to add that it is very important to scan the home and to also do this for your home, which is similar to the body. The same principles apply.
So in doing that, is that as simple as asking for help to clear that as well? Or should you do actual cleansing with like sage or something similar?
All of it would be good. Don't go overboard. I know that Heather has gone overboard before. And it's not necessary. You don't need to fret over this. As we've said before, just know that you are shielded. If you are questioning if you are shielded, you are wondering if you've done it enough, it's not a matter of doing it enough or being better at it. It's just a matter of understanding that you are shielded. That is the most important piece. You do not need tools. Tools are helpful, but you do not need sage. You do not need a candle flame. Don't even need to be Reiki certified. You can just go around and hold up your hands and say, this area is cleansed, really. Just bring in the love light. Imagine the love light coming from the window or just coming in. You can imagine a big field of fire coming in and just cleansing, clearing, smoke coming in, clearing. Just white light shining brightly. Play around.
How often should you do your home?
That's a good question. We do not have a specific answer. It all depends, but one way to do this would be to ask, and intuitively you will know the answer whether you need to do it or not. But I would say at least once a week. And especially if people come in, do it whenever someone is coming into the home, after they have come into the home. And Heather is saying, yes, I should do it. Although she was asking, she did every night. She calls for a shield. Okay, so she does shield the apartment every night. The 12th dimensional diamond light shield, which is very, very important. This is a very high frequency. I do not see the energy sticking and staying, but I would say it is very important still for people to go around and transmute the energy, even if they do shield the home, to place certain frequencies within it. Even if you are not transmuting, you are bringing in that high frequency. Sage is a very high frequency. So if you do sage the home on a regular basis, once a week, it does maintain that high energy, even if you are not transmuting any lower density. It keeps the vibration high. And the same as crystals and other tools.
So on that note, what crystals are helpful for this?
Yes. When you wear certain crystals, I would recommend very high frequency crystals. Dark crystals are very good at absorbing, and higher level, very high energy would be like gold and yellows. Those are good. Blue is good. Moldavite is a very, very high frequency. But the best one, if you are wanting to shield, would be tourmaline. Shungite is good. Any dark, smoky quartz. And keeping your energy high, a high vibration. You do need to do this regardless of crystals. Drink lots of water. This is very good as well. Getting enough rest, enough sleep. Paying attention to your mind. Meditating on a regular basis. These are all good things. Crystals for the home. Put around crystals. This would be good. One in each corner if you can. We do not want to tell people to buy very high pricey things, although big crystals are very good. Big amethyst crystals would be good. Amethyst is very good. Citrine is very good. Those are a good combination, amethyst and citrine. But we do recommend amethyst. Smoky quartz is good for in the home. Yeah. For the home, we would recommend amethyst, smoky quartz, brown and black crystals. And then wearing lighter yellow crystals, that would be good. So yellow maintains energy, maintains a high vibration. This is why Heather has been called to yellow and more orangey, but more yellow. And then the black brown will transmute negativity, absorbing it, taking away the negative energies. And amethyst is just the high, very high vibrational stone.
And how often should we cleanse our crystals?
Yes. You can actually ask us to cleanse your crystals. Just ask us to come in and cleanse your crystals. Dragons are very good. They'll come in and cleanse your crystals. Angels always will be here to cleanse your crystals. If you do it yourself, water is good. I know that not all crystals can go in water. Taking them outside is good. Placing them in the sun is good. Sound is good, but I do not think that it is necessary. We would think that the water is the best if you can. If it is a crystal that can go under the water or in the land, in soil. Sun is good as well. Sound is fine, but it's not the best one of those.
What about moonlight and sage?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We do see the moon is fine, but you have to get a good place to put it for the moon. And the moon changes and it's not always there. But yes, that is a good way. Sage is, as we said, a very high frequency. This would be good as well. It is as good as the water, so do those, water and sage. Those would be good. As well as the land, if you can.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I just thought, so if you have like an earthy mat, I'm assuming not, but would that cleanse your crystals because of it being connected to the earth?
No.
Okay.
Heather wants to know about the earthing mat. Okay. This does maintain your frequency. It is good for you. But the crystals wouldn't enjoy it very much. But if you cannot take your crystals outside and bury them, you can take some soil and put them in a pot. That would work.
I wondered about that, but would you only be able to use the soil for so long?
No. I do not see this. It would maintain the frequency.
Would sand work as well?
No.
Okay.
Soil. There's certain elements within the soil. There's asking if it needs to be brought outside on a regular basis. You do not need to then cleanse the dirt. But it would be good if you did, but you do not have to. You could place the dirt out in the sun, and that would work. And do not buy your soil. Take it from the outdoors, from the land.
All right, so then Heather had questions about removing specific attachments. And I don't know how necessary those are. Could you just say which, I guess, we're able to remove ourselves and how to do it that way?
You can always remove it. You can always remove it. And I know that some people say that you need high frequency to do it, and this is true, but you can always bring in enough frequency to remove it yourself. How do you do that? By asking. If you know, you can do it. So there are certain frequencies that are necessary to transmute implants and archons, but you can always bring those in. Do it on a regular basis. Just ask yourself to be cleansed, asking for assistance, bringing in your level of assistance. So what I mean by level of assistance, meaning every now and then your team may shift and change, so you may need to bring in different team members. So get acquainted with your team members, your spiritual assistant team. So there may need to be new assistant members that come in. If you call one on a regular basis, that is keeping you from mastery. So working with different team members may be necessary at different times. So if you have a certain team member that you do enjoy working with, so such as Heather works with me a lot, and I can work as a mediator to bring in different team members if she allows me to. When she says, bring in whoever's necessary, I have that authority in which I can bring in whoever is necessary. So if you work with one being who you do trust on a very high level, then you can ask them to bring in whoever is necessary to work through those attachments. So it is not necessary to work so hard as some people will see. They think that they need to do certain things, like it's up to me to do psychic surgery. It's up to me to do all the work. I need to call on a certain healer to do all this work too and spend $1 billion. And it's not necessary. And that is part of the reason why we were telling this to everybody. This is a part of why Heather is so upset at times, is that people will tell her that she needs healers. They will tell her that she needs to go somewhere and do this and do that and do all these things. And she feels very, very tired and drained and feels like she's never good enough because she thinks that she needs to do 1 billion things. And it's not necessary. It's not true. And as a healer herself, one thing that she's recognizing is that she wants to help people understand that they can do this themselves more than coming to her. So as a teacher, we would say it is very important for you to maintain your own energies and to rely not on outside equipment, outside healers. You can do this yourself. It is very important to understand this and to practice. And when I say practice, really all that means is just trusting yourself, because there's nothing really you need to really gain or even any techniques you need to do. It's all there. You just need to tap into it on an energetic level. Okay, so another question Heather had, but if we're asking for help to do this, then this wouldn't really be on us. But it says, if we're removing attachments with consciousness, what can we do to save them instead of recycling them? Yes. Okay. We want to let you know that it's not up to you. Okay. It's not up to you to save anyone. No, she has been taught certain things that says we need to save the majority of the entities. However, we want to say that that's not really up to you. And so there have been certain techniques that Heather has used to try and get these entities to leave, but to also come back into the light. And you can do this, but it's not up to you to force anything. It's not up to you to save anybody. And so if you're wondering, all you need to do is just set that intent that if this entity has a consciousness, they can go to the light. I set that intent that they can go to the light if they choose, and that's all. It's not up to you to choose for them. Just set that intent that they can go to the light and ask us to come in, and we will see if we can persuade them to go to the light. You do not need to force anything. And it's not necessary for you to pick who has a consciousness and who doesn't, or anything like that. Heather has been using certain symbols, and she questions whether they need to be used for if there's a consciousness, if there's not. I don't think she needs to worry as long as she says, if it has a consciousness, please go to the light. I wish you well. Okay. It's also not necessary for you to choose who amongst your friends and family needs to go to the light, needs to be saved, and so on. Just wish them well and set that intent that if they go to the light, you can help them if they choose, but it's not up to you to force anything either.
So as well, when it comes to attachments, Starseed Evolution talks about seals and tags. Can you talk about those?
Yes. We would also recommend that anybody watching this does choose, if they choose to go check out the Starseed Evolution's channel on YouTube. She has a very, very high frequency and does talk about the same concepts that we have talked about here, and telling you that you can do this yourself. It's very loving to understand that you can be your own healer. What are seals? Seals are placed within you. All beings do have a sort of seal within them. These are placed upon you to maintain your frequency here on Earth so that you do not basically evaporate out of existence. And we laugh because it's funny, because this is not reality here. And so the seals place you in the certain density of the frequency necessary to maintain a form. So once you remove seals, it is very common for people to find themselves sort of floaty. So I don't want people to do it unless they can. Meaning, I really don't want people messing with that unless they understand it. And so my answer really is don't do it, because it's really kind of risky, because the body holds you for a reason. And if you do remove some of these seals, you really need to know what you're doing. So don't do it unless you really understand it. And that's what we're going to say about that.
Can we do that on accident as well?
If you go to a healer and they remove a seal and you don't know that they're removing a seal, yes. It can happen, yes.
Okay. But can we
Because you're giving them permission. If you go to a healer,
okay.
you give them permission to do whatever they're going to do on you. Unless you set that intention and it's very firm. No, I am not allowing anybody to mess with my seals. Now, seals can be removed and it can be a positive thing, but you need to know which ones to remove and which ones to maintain. It's a complicated kind of thing. And if you don't know what you're doing, don't.
Is there other things that would cause us to feel floaty other than that?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes. People can move in and out of their body. They can have states of consciousness, different places of reality that they shift to, disorientation, dissociation. Don't try to leave the body. People try to leave the body all the time, but it's not really necessary. Being in the body is part of the experience. And I understand the seals because they do keep you at a certain level. They do keep you at a certain maintenance level. And it is possible to remove them, but you need to be at a certain level of consciousness for you to be aware that you need to remove it at that place because it keeps you bound. Once you get to that level, you will know that you need to remove the seals. If you don't know about seals and you don't know that you need to remove a seal, you're probably not at that place to remove a seal. Tags are a different story. But I want to make sure that you understand seals. Some are good and some are bad, but we don't want you messing with them and accidentally doing something you're not supposed to for your well-being. How much of that made sense?
It makes sense.
Okay. Tags are a certain label. It's difficult to understand, but tags are placed within the body to maintain a certain frequency. They could be removed, and I do think that they are. I don't think this would be worth doing necessarily. And we are speaking to Heather herself. But for everyone, tags do have a frequency and a certain label in which it tells you who and what you are. It is sort of encoding in your genetic makeup, and removing those could lead to taking on a new identity. It does free you. I think it could be done, and if you want it to be done, you can, but it's what you would call a personal thing, whether you want to remove these or not. They can naturally occur in that you just evolve and then they will be removed. The same as seals. Once you get to a certain level, if you are at that level and want assistance, we will then bring you to the next level. Sometimes we will nudge you to do it. But this is not necessary as well, but it's not as dangerous. It is a process, and we wouldn't recommend that you do it all at once. If you do any of these healings or techniques, it's always good to just ask for my highest good, because otherwise you're going in and you're just allowing everybody or whoever to just do whatever to you. And you may not be at that stage of consciousness that is ready for it, may not be for your benefit. Sometimes they'll even do detrimental things to bring in lower frequencies, lower density, bringing in things that aren't even part of them, opening up doorways for negative energies to come in. And yet again, you're not infringed upon, right? You can always say, I'm not infringed upon, and remove these things, heal these things. But we want people to understand that it is very important to maintain your boundaries, even when you're seeing a healer, because they don't always have the highest intent, or sometimes they don't even know what they're doing, or they have good intentions, but they're just not seeing things correctly. So asking for tags to be removed is always good to just ask whatever is needed now, here and now, for my highest good. Then you have nothing to worry about. Always ask, I'm open for healing for whatever is in my highest good at this level of being.
So going back to the seals, because you're talking about, so if we can never be infringed upon through ourselves, are we able to get the seals back if we got rid of it, or if they were accidentally removed by someone?
That's a good question. You can always remove things, right? Can you bring them back in? Yes, of course. Yes. Think about it. We are a big fan of manifestation, right? You can manifest anything. You can even go back to a prior state of consciousness if you wish. Anything is possible.
Right. Well, then lastly, just what can we do to help others heal from their infringements or avoid infringements?
So don't ask necessarily, just will it for all. Set that intent for whoever is ready in their highest good to be given healing. Ask for other sources of assistance to come in and to send out healing of love light for whoever is ready. You can do this in your hometown, but you can go as big as your state, your country, and even the world. And if you wish, you can even go bigger than that into the universe. And just ask whoever is ready right now. I send my intention to help heal you in the highest good, maintaining the free will of all. It's that simple. And doing that on a regular basis would help the process for us to move forward.
Well, unless Heather has anything else. that's all of our questions.
Yes, I think that is all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do not know what tags are. I've never heard of tags, except for her. It's interesting. It's something, I don't know. So my understanding about tags is it's something to do with your genetic DNA, and it tells you, like, I think it limits you on who you are, kind of like your makeup. Is that your understanding?
I guess, I mean, it's from your genetics. Don't they say that kind of impacts your personality too?
Yeah, it does make sense. It was like kind of
Because
like
I was thinking
part of,
it defines your
it
personality.
defines you and maybe even limits you to a certain state. Like limits you on what you are, maybe even like what you look like. But that's really your genetics, right? Your genes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. And then seals. So seals like keep you like keep you physical, like with a density. Because you need a certain density to be here in the 3D. Interesting. I don't know. I guess really my answer though is don't mess with that. You don't need to mess with either of those. I don't think so. I think I'm good with those. Okay. Any other thoughts? Yeah, so I like that. I like how we don't really need to complicate things as much as we do. And yet again, we don't even really need a healer because we can be the healer ourselves, or just call in basically the healers from the spiritual realm, right? To be our healers. All right. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or need any clarity or examples, just leave some comments. If you have any topics that you want to be discussed, if it's for the collective and it's not personal, please leave those in the comments below as well. If you are looking for a personal reading, I do those at ascendedcreation.com.